Welcome to Tonal Distancing. Today I'm sitting down with the Shining Hours. I have David and Joe from the Shining Hours with us today. David does the vocals and some guitar, and Joe does more guitar work on in their band, the Shining Hours. So I met them a while ago. I was at Arlene's Grocery in Manhattan. I was going to go see a gig with Slow Finn with my other bandmates, Joe and Daniel, that play bass and drums. Were playing with Slow Finn, and then this, very uh, uh, just embodying band that had a very, very nice, forward, comforting presence on stage came on, and that happened to be the Shining Hours. And after the show, I went and talked to Joe because he had an Epiphone Riviera, and I once had an Epiphone Riviera, so I went to go do a little guitar talk with him, and it was just really nice meeting them. They're very open, very communicative about their music, their band. Joe was communicative about his guitar and his gear, but that's enough from me. I'll let David and Joe introduce the Shining Hours a little bit more.
Yeah, sure. What's up, guys? I'm David Sy, born and raised in New York. I'm living out in Brooklyn over here. And yeah, I love songwriting and playing shows and everything. Started off classically trained actually on violin, and then shifted over to the rock scene over here. But yeah, in our four-piece band in the Shining Hours now, and I'll pass it off to Joe.
Yeah, what's going on? I'm Joe Peters. I play guitar, lead and rhythm, depending on the song. But yeah, born and raised in Brooklyn, and I started this band probably around 2011, probably like 8 or 9 lineups ago.
Wow. So I know we're going to get into kind of the progression and how the band has changed, but before we get into all that,
Yeah.
you guys have an EP out and some shows coming out. Where can people? What's the EP? Where can people listen to that? And where are the shows? And when can people come see you? And I think you have a vinyl release coming out too, right?
Yep, that's
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
So we have a EP that we just released June 24th. It's called Wasted Time. You can find it on all streaming platforms. In support of that, we're playing a bunch of shows this summer, well into, I would say, late September. Our next show actually is August 9th at Our Wicked Lady in Brooklyn. And then after that, we're going to hit Rockwood Music Hall. I believe it's stage 3 on August 21st. And then we're going to close out the year with a special, like, limited edition small vinyl that we're going to be recording with Least of All. And yeah, we're looking forward to everything coming up.
That's like a really awesome, exciting year. The vinyl step is like, I think, a really cool, interesting step. It's about that tangible thing that you can walk away from and say, I actually did something. And if this whole world goes through an apocalypse, you might be able to find this in someone's home as you're scavenging for the remains of water. I think that's really cool because everything is just digital now. So it's like all my stuff is out there digital, and like I don't have that permanent thing that kind of finalizes it. I mean, I have my hats.
It reminds me of Pharrell. I think he was like making a vinyl out of clay or something a while ago, and it's like, if you don't take care of the earth, it's gonna like disintegrate. You won't be able to hear it. I don't know if that's still out there, but
Oh, that's sick. Well, are you guys making it out of clay or just regular vinyl materials? You're not doing like a ghost kind of workshop where you guys are around each other making your vinyl? No, I didn't think so.
Not at all.
All right.
Cool.
So
Traditional small vinyl.
So before we listen to some of your songs here, and get into like the main topic about kind of how you guys started, what you're up to now, and kind of what your future holds, let's start with a toast. So if you have something to drink, it can be alcoholic, non-alcoholic, whatever you fancy. A toast to the lords and ladies of music. Please be kind to us as we drink and guide us on our musical journey. David, who would you like to toast today?
I'll give a toast to BB King. I've been, haven't listened to that long, but I've heard a lot more now and been really into that kind of soul and blues, and it's pretty awesome. So give a toast.
Very, very nice, very nice. Joe, who would you like to toast to?
I was actually struggling with the person I was going to toast to until I remember that I'm just going to choose Jack White. Can't go wrong. He was like the first person that actually got me saying, "What the hell are you doing on guitar and effects?" that I just had to try it out myself. And the process has never been more fun.
Well, as a kid from Michigan, I appreciate Jack White, and I also really appreciate
Of
BB
course.
King. I'll go with the some people call him the copycat, Albert King. I've just been listening to him a lot. He is the blues player that reinvigorates me to play guitar and write music. But a toast. Thank you guys for being on.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So yeah, funny enough, this orange guitar that's named King. It's among other reasons, but it's partially because of BB King and Albert King, and so I just named a guitar King for those blues icons. But this isn't about those blues icons. This is about what do you guys consider your music alt, indie? If you don't want to label it, you don't have to. But alt, indie, we're not talking about the blues, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good mix of a lot of things. I guess you can classify it as alt indie. I know you can probably put it in a subgenre of like shoegaze even to some degree. Because
Dream pop as well, for that kind of thing.
Yeah, and definitely even dream pop territory that we touch on. But yeah, all of those things fine, probably.
Let's let people decide. Here's Retrograde from Wasted Time by The Shining Hours.
From your frozen breath, I make it it's calling as a gun, but my voice is shut. Someone come and pick me up the floor. It's more than enough. All these years that I've got, I don't recognize you anymore.
That was Retrograde from Wasted Time by The Shining Hours. Joe, you were the one that kind of wrote this song a while ago, and now you kind of finally put it up together and put it out there. What can you kind of tell me about what do you want to tell me? But also, I'm always interested in like the writing process and recording process. Was this a song that you've had for a while, and you finally just got the band together and you got in there and you got it recorded and done?
So yeah, to be honest, like I think Retrograde is like one of my oldest songs. So in the previous lineup, we tried to record it and make our own EP. That was probably like a couple of years ago, maybe like 3 years ago. And then every time when I like forget about that song, I always come back to it because it's so fun and it's so. I think that's our most fast-paced, like tempo-wise song, and it's a pleasure to play. And yeah, to be honest, I can't even remember like when I wrote it. I just know it's like one of our oldest songs that we just decided to throw up on this Wasted Time EP, just because it's full of energy, and it's filled with a lot of attitude.
I mean, if a song you just keep coming back to it, it's hard to kind of deny it the right to become fully recorded, fully out there, and it becomes easier also, I think, to play it live once it's like set in stone, as this is at least a way that we can play it kind of consistently.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I really dug the song. I enjoy kind of the space that you create in your music, and I do actually really like the vocals, and how they kind of ebb and weave in the mix. I thought it was like really cool listening to the whole EP, but especially Retrograde, maybe Diamonds in the Dirt. There was more weaving that I thought was really interesting and cool, but definitely Retrograde as well.
You're so kind.
Well, I mean, you guys did the work. You put out music. I always think about you could be just like the bedroom guitarist, and if that's your level, that's great. You could be just the guy that's putting things out every once in a while on Instagram just because it's fun for you. I remember I had a friend kind of tour from like I think Michigan to New York, and I was like, you'll always have that in your life. So you get what you put out, you get out of life what you put into it, and putting your stamp out there is always cool.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like I actually submitted. I think it was Retrograde to a couple of music blogs on like Submit Hub, and they weren't as kind and gentle as you in terms of reviewing the songs and things like that. So I appreciate.
I mean, hey, everyone, when you put it out there, I respect that you put it out there for like essentially criticism, because that's kind of what happens when you submit things and you put anything out there.
Right.
But as someone that also does it, like I always look at all of like the cool, interesting things, and I think about like what can I take and what can I learn from like what they're doing. Even your live performance, like I always like having two guitars, but I kind of like really respect David for like, you know what, in this song I'm gonna set down the guitar and make that connection with the audience more. And just those little things are always cool to see like other bands do, and you kind of start to pick and like, all right, I'm gonna put this in my pocket and use it myself. But I learned it from these guys, you know?
Yeah. Definitely appreciate it. Definitely.
Yeah, it's a cool claim you made about the, how the vocals sit. Like we had a good kind of mixing and mastering process, like sourced through Dan Thorne was who kind of helped us mix it. But sourced through our drummer. So it's pretty cool how, that meshes into the process and what the final product is and everything.
So yeah, the main topic we want to talk about today is I think really cool to kind of open you guys yourselves up to kind of talking about how the band started, what you're up to now, and then kind of the future plans, because I think it's always can be kind of nerve-wracking, like kind of putting out there what you plan on doing and what you're doing now. But I think it's kind of really cool to kind of communicate, from a band perspective, because we all kind of have our goals and what we're trying to do, and we're all trying to figure it out in terms of kind of getting our music out there to more of the people that will really like it. So, but first, like, how did the band start? How did you all get together? I know, Joe, you were saying that the Shining Hours went through many iterations, correct, to what it is now.
Right.
So how did it get to what it is now with the current lineup?
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, like we probably started around 2011, and that was kind of like around the time like we were going to college and everything. So I actually started the band with a childhood friend of mine. So he was playing guitar, he was playing lead guitar, and he was trying to sing a little bit, even though we were almost kind of like doing the instrumental thing. And he was the one that was brave enough to take up singing for a little bit, but it really wasn't, full singing or whatever. But yeah, so over the years, we just had different lineups, different people coming in, whether, people, left the band, because they wanted to pursue school or, different careers or different things like that. So this is probably honestly like the eighth lineup since like 2011. But yeah, and then we went under in the beginning, we went under a different name as well. So it was the same band essentially, but just different iterations, different
Like
people coming in.
Same style sort of thing, or did that change over time also?
I think it evolved. I think
Okay.
it evolved with different people coming in, putting their own spin on things, and then my music taste personally has grown and expanded, different, listening to different artists and bands and things like that. But yeah.
So how did you get the current lineup together? Like, David, you were like, hey, I saw you playing violin, put that shit down. Here's a guitar. Be a real musician. Just kidding. Violin is you're a real musician, maybe even a realer musician if you play violin.
Yeah, so how I got this lineup together. So I'm not really the person, the social butterfly to, meet people in bars and ask them, if they play music or, strike up a conversation about music and things like that. So my go-to was always, even back in 2011, my go-to was always like Craigslist. Let me find Craigslist.
Mhm.
And, you either get the worst of the worst or, it works out pretty well.
What would
And
you
then,
say the ratio is? Like, out of every 10 people, what are like 5 good?
Told some
Do you
stories.
want to put the stats out there, or you want to keep that to yourself? Is that like proprietary information? You did the work. You get to know what happened.
right. Honestly, it's hard to put out a stat. It's just I can't remember a lot of people because since 2011, it's been a lot of different people coming in, multiple
11,
drummers.
that's 11 years of people.
Right, exactly, a lot. So I can't even give you like a ratio. You get, like I said, you get the worst of people. Let me give you an example. So there was one time where we held auditions for like a singer, and this guy, he drove 2 hours from his house wearing the most craziest getup in the world. And he comes to my bass
What's the
player.
most craziest get up in the world? Like, I mean, you can't just say that. Like, is there
Um,
a head sort of hat thing with feathers and like a tuxedo shirt, but then also a tuxedo over that?
well,
See my
you're pretty
imagination.
close. He was wearing like floral spandex and like the smallest t-shirt, the craziest hair.
Oh, Tuesday
highlighted
Steve.
hair.
I'm just kidding.
But well, I guess the point, just to sum it up, he just drove 2 hours, and he replied to our Craigslist ad, for a singer, because
Yeah.
we were looking for a vocalist. And he comes over to my bass player's house. We are getting ready to hold this audition, and it was the most bizarre thing in the world, because he replied to our ad as a singer and he wouldn't sing. We had him over my bass player's house for like a good 30 minutes, and we were trying to get this dude to sing. And I don't know if he was shy or anything like that, but he just didn't. Nothing came out, and it was just a complete waste of time. So that was pretty bad. But yeah, that was a long time ago.
So then David, how do you walk into the picture? Are you a good what is it? Good. What do people? It's a good mushroom. What's the phrase? I'm totally blanking. You're good apple. Good apple. What the fuck? Were you a good apple from Craigslist?
I want to say so. I mean, the only reason I
You want? Joe's gonna have a different discussion
hope
later.
so. The only reason why I checked that in Craigslist, I actually lived in the Bay Area like for 2 years before I moved back to New York. I've always been in New York, and then I was there, and I had a friend that she joined a band that worked out really well, and she's like, yeah, it was just Craigslist musicians community ad, and it worked out well. And I was like, oh, like I wouldn't have usually thought to go there, but then I was like, okay, it seems like I've heard people do this. And then I searched, and then you see tons of stuff like, and then you can search by borough, and then you can look at whatever people are describing their music as, and like some funny like titles for what they put on their ads and stuff. And it's just like, this type of person only, like no drama, something. It's pretty funny. Like,
I always like the no drama. I want someone with no drama. I mean, I want a little drama. You need a little spice up on the stage.
I think
Can't be
that's something
plain
about-
white toast.
something about them, maybe like in the past. But yeah, and then kind of just it's cool because like I started reaching out to folks, and Joe sending me like tracks, because you can it's sort of personal, like you hear like what people's work is and they send it to you, so you get a sense of like a little bit of who they are. Then I when I reach out to these people, I send my stuff too, which is like from one or two other bands I work on at the side, and some of my solo stuff as well. So we just kind of dive on that. And I started actually recording over with my home setup, with my like home studio setup and all this
Yeah.
kind of stuff, and just laid some vocals over it. It seemed to sound pretty good. And then Joe's like, oh, that sounds cool. Like, can you also do Don't Dream Till It's Over by Crowded House? I was like, oh, that's a good song. Okay. So I just like sent something over. And then I just went to the place in East Williamsburg slash Bushwick to the Pirate Studio and then just like sang a bunch of songs and met the group there. And the bassist came after me because it was just Joe and our drummer Bill at the time. So just kind of, going as a trio into that and just, finding Nando after.
That's awesome. I had there was something that you had said about doing the recording process to kind of start, like it's almost like a pre-rehearsal. I've never done that. That's like a really cool. Is that like something that you've normally done, David or Joe? Do you normally like try to get people to just record something over your existing material to like see if like they're actually committed or if they're just faking it? Because I always just like end up in the band room and I'm like, let's see if this person works out or if they're a crazy person.
It's funny that you mentioned that. I had so many people like, within the span of a couple months of like, putting out Craigslist ads. I think David, I think you were the only person that actually, or maybe you and Brianna were the only two people who actually, recorded your own vocals over our music. Everyone else was just like, oh yeah, I can sing. I could come at this time. And like you were saying before, you just come in and hope for they just come in and, you just hope for the best, whether, they can deliver or, you guys connect or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems like kind of an efficient way to do it. Like I'm used to it because one of my other bandmates, like we usually aren't in the same city or town. So like we've done tons of songs just sending stems back and forth in Washington or Ableton or whatever. So it's fairly easy for me to just
It's like part of your process.
yeah, it'll take me like 10 minutes. I'll just, sit there and just record something. It's like here's a taste of how it sounds and stuff like that.
So
Right.
Sorry, go on. My bad.
No, go ahead.
Two more things before we talk about kind of what you're up to now. One being why is it called The Shining Hours? And two, did you ever consider actually singing, Joe? Because like I play guitar and I've played guitar for a long time and I kind of stick with that. Did you ever like consider, you know what, I'm gonna also sing? Or did you try it out and not like it? And you, not that like you're not saying you're good or bad. Sometimes like the feeling of just playing guitar is like way better than playing guitar and singing because I've done both.
Right. No, to be honest, I'm absolutely dreadful at singing. I've never tried to. I mean, in my head or in my shower, I think I'm Celine Dion by all means, but
Are we
you
not
know,
all
in re-
Celine Dion?
in all actuality, it just doesn't happen. I just don't have the voice or anything. I never really tried. I've always sought out like my ideal, type of singer or whatever fits into the music. That's all I care about.
Could be Celine Dion for all we know, because I don't think I've heard Joe have one note, like utter one note other than like
No, I can't.
You don't even do backups, just like a little in the background.
No, you know how I compensate for, because I'm telling you, in my head, I think I'm a like awesome singer, but like in actuality, it just doesn't come together. But I just try and compensate, just with the guitar. Whatever I want to say, I just try and get those notes out on the guitar and try and make my guitar sound like maybe other things sometimes other than guitar or things like that. But yeah, I've always just searched for, my ideal vocalist or whatever works in the situation.
There's actually a pedal you have that like sounds almost like a voice, like not like a screeching voice, like a howl. There's one that we do in some of our live set songs. There's one called Lost in Anything, and Joe does like a solo towards the end, and there's this red pedal. I don't know what it's called, but like it kind of has like almost like a human like overtone like kind of thing to
Right.
it. What is
This
it?
mysterious pedal. What does everyone need to buy right now? just to
I don't
steal
know.
your sound.
The red
You
one.
just want me to, yeah, just reveal all my secrets.
That's what we're
So
here for.
That's actually a Digitech whammy pedal,
Oh,
but
okay, nice.
yeah, it's not the full blown,
Is it
old
the
version.
small box one?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's like the mini version, the updated version, I guess. I would love a real one though.
Does it track well? Like, do you just do single notes, or can you do like full chords and it tracks well?
um, yeah, I mean, it does. The thing is, it doesn't have a level on it,
Oh,
so
okay.
it just gives you whatever it gives you. Um,
It decides for you.
yeah, that's usually enough,
Yeah.
because I put it on with a whole bunch of other stuff like overdrives and a whole bunch of delays and chorus and things like that because I'm a proponent of noise. So,
Yeah.
you know, as much noise as I can get and crazy sounds I love. So it kind of just gives you what it gives you. I would say it does kind of track well, even though we haven't actually recorded a song with it being used
Yeah.
yet. But
I meant like
and
track the notes that you're playing, because I know like sometimes like with like think of octave pedals where
yeah,
the older algorithms or older ways of doing it, like once you start playing more than one note, it just starts going wonky, which can be really cool, like Jack White sort of thing. But sometimes
mhm.
you want that more precision to the specific notes that you're playing. Is it that's what I meant by tracking well or not?
Oh, okay. I'd say for the most part, yeah.
Okay.
But then again, yeah, I would say yeah.
Sometimes there's just a
I would say
crazy
yeah.
howl that comes out of nowhere.
Right, because I'm just trying to remember how I use it because I might use it a little bit delicately
Okay.
or maybe differently from most people. But like I said, I put it through a lot. I put it through the ringer. Like I put it through so much dirt and delay and even chorus sometimes, and things and reverb and things like that.
It
So
sounds like a spiral sound to me when we do it for like that, the one breakdown at the very end of the solo for that song, you kind of like push it in and out. So it's kind of like a parabolic sort of sound
Oh.
that goes up and then it like
right,
comes down and then comes up and then you kind of taper it off. That's how I hear it at least.
right, yeah, yeah. It's definitely a cool pedal to check out. Again, I would love a real one, but
I mean,
it's
it
just.
is a real one. You're using it, and
I mean,
it's
yeah,
out
it's a
there. It's
real.
real. You don't.
I meant the
You want to
actual
be Tom
big
Morello. That's what you're
box.
saying.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. But I just don't have enough pedal board real estate to put it on like a real one on there.
Happens to all of us. All of us with a pedal board. We sooner or later run out of either real estate or a number of like DC plugs that you can plug in.
Right. Yeah.
But ultimately, why is it called the Shining Hours?
Yeah. So basically, so one of my favorite bands of all time, I think they're super, underrated. Um, New York City band. They're actually called Longwave. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
I haven't heard of them. I'll listen to them afterward though.
Yeah. One of my favorite bands. Yeah, so they're called Longwave. I've always been a fan of theirs. Always, went to their live shows when they played out. And they're just like the kings of like shoegaze and everything dreamy and strange noises and everything that I want to be in terms of like a guitarist or a musician, the way they compose songs. Definitely I recommend them to everybody because I think they're super super slept on. So yeah, check them out.
All right, it's time for me to wake up. So I'll definitely listen to them, but really we're here about you guys. So what are you up to now? How does that kind of like and kind of what I'm thinking about that is, you're playing in New York City right now. Are you guys like you have that vinyl release? Do you guys are going to start playing outside of the city more? And then we'll also get into your approach to the balance of like, I think the great balance now is like recording, gigging, and then content. So
Right. Yeah.
whichever one you want to approach first is when are you going to start branching out of the city? Are you planning on staying in the city for a little bit like just focus? Obviously you'll continue to play the city probably year in, year out, but you might branch out a little bit. Or you guys want to talk about maybe your approach to recording gigs and content first?
Yeah. So right now we're actually taking like a little hiatus.
A little
So
hiatus with a gig in a couple of weeks.
I mean, not a hiatus, but like a little break, I
Yeah.
should say. Yeah, so we've been trying to write new songs because we just came off of we just played three gigs
Okay.
recently.
Yeah.
So we're just taking like a little break from gigging, and then we come back like we said August 9th. I don't know, David, you want to take over?
Yeah, so we've been having more just sessions, just like getting inspiration by looking at like, Beatles, Bee Gees sessions and stuff like that. Just like spending time, in this space, even just like a couple weeks ago, just writing and like we have ideas and stuff all recorded on our phone. So we've just been kind of rotating some of that, throwing some covers into the set. And I'm finally working in the fiddle, like back into existence because it was all vocals and guitar up to now, but throwing that into some of the covers and some of the writing for, different pace tempos. Just bought a beautiful electric violin too. I've only owned acoustics up to now, but I finally found one that is sort of like this hybrid that can kind of match the sounds. So we've been kind of doing, some writing on the side there, and in this gap period before starting up the shows again, getting the name back out, going into the vinyl sessions, and then into next year, like trying to get some more recordings down for these new ideas we have is a hope. And then, from there, see where it takes us.
Right. So right now, I would say we're focusing, just on New York City, trying to build, just our following. And who knows, maybe in the future, maybe, branch out, out of state or even upstate.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's always like the thing of, I really respect the hustle. Sometimes I hate using that word, but I respect like the kind of process of like continuing to gig around the city. I always get nervous of like trying to divvy up like where I'm playing, even just like a little bit in the city, because I know like if you play here in Brooklyn, you're gonna get maybe more people in this area, like in the Bushwick area, and if you go out and play maybe like Harlem, like you're gonna have different people because not everyone is gonna want to come from like I don't know like downtown
Yeah.
Brooklyn all the way up to Harlem.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that aspect of like playing around the city still kind of gives you that almost like tour-esque ability, which has been really cool here. And what have been like some of your favorite places that you've played? Not saying that other places you've played are bad, but just the one, maybe the whole gig and experience at this particular place was really cool. I always thought Arlene's was cool. I'd really be enjoy to see you guys play there again and play there myself. But what about you all? What have been some of like the highlights of where you've played thus far?
Yeah, I mean, Orleans has great sound and everything, and the whole setup there. And first live was our first show actually, because I got COVID for our first one that should have been Rockwood, back in like July, mid or
And then
early
Joe had
July.
to sing.
Yeah, all the completely on. But yeah, that was really cool. That was like a great crowd of Aaron Harlan and all their bands as well. No Big and these other people that we played with. It was super cool in that setting. I don't know exactly where, maybe off Metropolitan or something, but they had a really cool little space where it's like they stream pretty high quality into like this little cafe area, and they have a small standing space for the band, and like they had like all this camera work up there, and it was just like super cool. Like the lighting like looks real nice and everything. So that was like, my kind of first show in like this kind of setting too, like with a larger group band, I guess if you call it four. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we all kind of really enjoyed that process. We keep in touch with a lot of those people, met a lot of cool bands, and that kind of started kicking things off. That was our debut.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
started off on a good foot.
Yeah. And for me, yeah, so I think our best gig was like First Live Studio, like David was just mentioning. I think the vibes there were great. And I think a close second had to be Heaven Can Wait.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's off of like Avenue A, right?
Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
I
Okay.
Yeah. That
haven't
was
been to like half of these venues before too, so it's cool to just like explore them too. Different vibe, different people in different places. Kind of beauty of the city here itself.
Yeah, I feel like it's always interesting, like the different places you kind of end up in the city and the different venues, and then you just even like the small nuances of like this venue has like this good amp, and this venue I'm definitely gonna bring like
right. Mic here.
a mic or your own amp or little amp cab sim, because you're like, I just want to play through the PA here, and it's fun and always interesting and always challenging, and what I always enjoy is when the drummer I work with, Daniel Sanders, has to go up to the sound guy and to the drum set and says, "So hey, I play lefty, so all this
Oh,
has gets switched
wow.
around."
Oh, man.
Normally, it's always cool. Like there, as long as he talks to him, he's a really good guy, and he's such a good communicator that like it always goes smoothly. But like it's always we always just watch him like, "Hey everyone, I'm switching this whole thing up, and we're gonna have to switch it back later," which is always entertaining.
I wonder like the lefty to righty ratio of drummers. Is it like 9 to 10 or right here, or maybe more? 9.8.
It's probably the same ratio of lefty and righties in life. I mean, that's the thing though. Like if you are a lefty, right? Do you still play lefty? Because there's the lefties that are the lying lefties that play righties still. I'm just kidding. It's okay. You can lie and be a lefty. When I started playing guitar, I thought it was weird that you fingered the guitar with your left hand. I was like, why wouldn't you do it with your right? And then,
I do remember people asking too. I was just
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
2-3 lessons in, you're like, whatever. This is the way it is.
Kind of interesting, yeah.
Any other like memorable moments from like right now in the process of doing everything, and also what's that balance like? Recording. So you've obviously been writing right now. I guess you've been balancing it well with like playing live, because you just came off a couple gigs. You're about to go into a couple more. You got a whole kind of vinyl release coming. How do you kind of like work all that out and plan that and then like stick to it? Is it just good support system internal to the band where you guys are all picking up where people are lagging, and then letting other people take the ball? How does that work?
I think yeah, it seems to be a good balance. Like however we've got it, we sort of made the call between July, like, should we add something in here? And we're thinking, oh yeah, it's actually a good time to like think about what we want to write, so we can kind of get the ball rolling for after like the next set of shows is how I was kind of seeing it. So we kind of just feel it out to see, what we're trying to do.
Yeah. And we try and organize everything that we need to do as best as we can, in terms of, Google Calendar and, different notes, and definitely WhatsApp Messenger is helpful. But yeah, that's how we kind of keep the chaos contained.
Yeah, I use Google Drives a lot, just like bringing some work like into it, but just like keep us organized for, like the songwriting process even, because like there's so many ideas, and I probably have like hundreds of voice recordings from rehearsals of just writings and like stuff I don't want to lose, and then I just throw it on the drive, and here's like, here's song one that we're writing up, here's like what we've drafted so far, and trying to like, make sure we don't forget some of that and build on it, stuff like that.
That's just a huge help, because I feel like you end up like my voice memo is anyone's voice memo that plays like a guitar or however you record your song. You probably have like 10, 20, probably 100 songs like recorded down, and it's just that process of like shifting it over. Does writing it, like both for David, sounds like you're kind of writing out kind of the ideas, but does that help you kind of visualize it and make it a little bit more real and push forward with it? Because I feel like that is a really good step. I think it's something that people wouldn't think about, but like when you start writing out, this is what I want to work on, this is what I want to work on, you start to make those small steps that lead to like finishing the product. Has that helped a lot, you feel like?
I think it's helpful, especially so you don't lose momentum and ideas. Like a lot of people say at least remember it. But if you know, if we're jamming there and like thinking of something that sounds good, and like I don't want to lose this, I'm just gonna record
Right.
this,
Yeah.
and then we listen to it back, and then you know we think about assess like what we want to change up, and then I do a lot of my like just writing and thinking just in the trains, like because you know I live in Brooklyn Heights over here, and we rehearse in East Williamsburg. So like whenever I'm in the trains, I'll just kind of go through our recordings and I'll think about the words and different melodies, and then just try them out there. So I think it definitely helps to kind of keep things organized and keep a log of kind of what we've done, and some things will scratch and other things will kind of continue into something else, and then yeah, it's fun.
All I want to say is, David, it sounds like, what, do you just bring in guitar and maybe like a very small pedal board to practice?
Actually, it's been more lately. So I definitely smaller pedal board than
Okay.
Joe's, but I bring either the PRS or the Telly, and then I take the pedal board bag, and then I've been bringing the fiddle, which is like a smaller case. So just kind
Because
of carrying those to the
I feel
gym.
like with my larger than normal paddleboard bag and my guitar, and then like sometimes I have to bring something else. Like when I'm on the subway, I'm just kind of just exhausted already because of the heat
I
and
was
something in
sweat-
summer.
sweating
So
a
like
lot
I'm not
this
trying to do
week.
any work, and I just admire you still. I'm gonna organize these songs and stuff. I'm just trying to get to practice
I know.
after
I mean,
work.
it's been super hot. Like on the way home, we just did a group shoot actually on Sunday with Michelle. And yeah, it was super hot. Like when I got back with all my stuff, I was like, oh my God, I just want a cold beer now, and just like cold sour cold beer. Yeah, it's exactly what I did after rehearsal.
Yeah. So in terms of the future, kind of what are you seeing? It sounds like you are in the writing process now, so it's going to be like another EP. And how do you approach that? Because I tend to be, very much oriented to doing singles. Um, how do you make the decision to kind of, are you guys going to be releasing singles in the future, EPs, a full album? And how does that kind of fit into how you want to grow the band? Because I think, you know, just putting together music and throwing it out there is like kind of essential, but like, do you guys constructively think, hey, we're gonna do these couple songs, and then we're gonna do these couple songs to kind of create, continued momentum and interest? Or do you just throw it all out there? Sorry, excuse me. Do you just throw it all out there as one thing? Is that what approach are you taking to the next recordings?
Yeah, so we definitely discuss everything, and just to see what works best. But I think our plan is, so when we released the first EP, Wasted Time, this was our debut EP, as for this lineup. So we had nothing out there.
Yeah.
So we just wanted,
Something out
like,
there.
yeah, something out there just to put those songs up, out and get people familiar with them. And then I think now we're just preparing for, writing new songs and maybe putting singles out after this EP, just to keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
And then maybe, once we release a couple of singles or whatever, do another EP. Because I don't think it's going to be super worth it to do a full length, especially when we're not, signed or backed by a label or manager or anything like that. But who knows?
Are those the kind of things you're thinking about, as like getting signed or getting a manager and going more of that route, or are you gonna keep it kind of in-house and independent?
I
Whatever
would
works.
love I would love a manager. It just takes the pressure off of everything, because we have to do everything ourselves, and it's just so hectic and annoying because we all have day jobs and other things to worry about. So it's like we have to write songs, we have to perform well, we have to book gigs, we have to
Promote.
promote ourselves. It's just so many things that we have to do, book shoots and things like that. And it can be overwhelming if you don't have a team. I mean, we are a team, but
Yeah.
it's just a lot for us. But yeah.
And then in terms of like that, for where you are right now, like, do you guys have any like instructive, I always call them instructive analogs, or kind of people that you look up to, or books, or anything that like kind of helps guide you, or orient you guys like to move forward? Because I kind of like, I always think of the book The Obstacle is the Way by like Ryan Holiday as a book that always keeps me thinking about how do I turn these obstacles of I have to do all this shit on my own, turn them around, and use it as an experience to say, hey, actually, I know how to work all the angles from this. So when someone has to come in and do this, or if someone ever comes in and does this for me, I know what angles they should be already be working on, and if they're going outside of these things, I know to help neaten that up for them, and move it forward. What kind of things kind of instruct you to kind of push forward on that, and what books or ideas that kind of keep you on the right track going forward?
So for me, what I like to do is try and make as many connections within the music scene as possible. So I like to keep tabs on a lot of local bands to see what they're doing, who has a manager, who doesn't, who's playing the popular venues.
Do you have like an Excel spreadsheet of this?
I haven't gotten that anal about it, but
there's some people that do, and I'm always impressed. But even just the general keeping up with it is still impressive.
Right. No, I mean, I wouldn't go to that extent, but I definitely keep tabs on, bands and local artists who are making moves, who are doing certain things. How can we get in contact with this organizer or promoter, or how do we get in contact with this venue, or just to see what opportunities are out there that we probably never even thought about before. So you can definitely keep tabs on other bands and artists and see what other people are doing. And then I would say I wouldn't say like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess you could compare, if it's all about, just seeking opportunities and, and things like that. But yeah.
I do a lot of the same things. Like, essentially, I feel like my Instagram messages is just people I'm following up with, trying to keep like my ear to the ground. Stories is like, Instagram stories is like an amazing place to say, oh, that person's playing there with these bands. Let me go check out all these bands and listen to their stuff and see if I like it. Talk to them about their music. I think in general, just making those connections, and just even reaching out to like how I reach out to you all, even like after the show, and then even now, it's those little things that kind of mean a lot in the long run. And the way I always look at it is, no matter how far I kind of get on this road down music, it's sometimes just kind of cool to like look back, like, oh, I know this person, I know that person, oh, that person does like really cool music, oh, that person has a guitar I'm completely jealous about, and it's just fun to still have all those connections and like make friendships and kind of make a community around this.
Yeah, I haven't really done something like that before. Everyone that is, great. All the different lineups we play with, it's been good. With like got along with all of them great, and just been connecting.
Right, and then I think, yeah, David, we were talking about this earlier about you start noticing which bands, like the same bands playing the same venues over and over again and getting the same opportunities. And it's like, it's all about trying to break into that scene and making those connections. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So we're just trying to, well, that's what I do. Keep tabs on all the bands that I like within the local scene.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I guess we watched a decent amount of YouTube videos, I guess, and like, release plans and stuff like that, to just trying to learn a little bit about the marketing or how your sequence you should be doing steps in. So that's definitely helped. Just understanding like how the whole process works, like with distributors, and like the way you should go about it, and the right cadence and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that book, the obstacle book you mentioned, sounds pretty cool. I'm gonna check that out as well.
Oh yeah, no problem. I can shoot you a message about it. So in that light of future plans and kind of what the future holds for you, do you guys constructively like kind of think about any like milestones that you want to reach, whether that's like places you just want to play, size of the shows you kind of want to get to, or even like length of set? Like, I always think it's weird you see like these big bands kind of play for like 2-3 hours, and I kind of admire that. Like I'd love to like just be good enough and interesting enough to play for like 2 hours straight for people. I don't know what that says about me, but that's something I think about. I don't know when I'm gonna get there, but what kind of like those things, or do you not really set limitations? You just sky's the limit, or I think the little stepping stones are always good to hear about.
We definitely think about set lists a lot, because we've been writing a lot from scratch, like all the lyrics, everything, melodies, and we had like a 7 or 8 song set. Now we're adding covers and these other things to try and like expand it, because sometimes if you're on early and stuff, you want to make sure you have like extra content stuff, but like we're writing as much as we can, trying to get it like and yeah, it would be great to move hour plus and stuff eventually, get all our works in there and that.
Have so much work you can't even decide what to play. Like, God damn it, I don't want to cut this one. 5 hours.
Yeah, be nice.
Yeah, you'd really have to love what you do to be playing for 2 or 3 hours. Because you feel the fatigue after like 45 minutes.
True.
Like vocals too. Like there's friends that used to go to all these music colleges, pre-colleges, and there's only so long you can like correctly sing so that it's make sure you don't damage your vocal cords and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when we start hearing a bunch of instrumental songs, we're like, that's when he started to get tired.
Right. That's when you start letting the audience sing back.
It's just hand it off.
Oh, is that a milestone for you guys? I since when I write a song, like it's all guitar instrumentation and everything, and then kind of the lyrics kind of come up at the end. Do you guys ever, is that like a dream of yours to like have a song where you can just like play one note and then the audience sings the rest? Is that a dream?
That's my dream, definitely.
We're talking about this a lot. Yeah, this is a good point.
I
talk with David about this all the time.
It's like Joe looks up to a lot of like the UK bands, and they'll show like these kind of like crazy crowds and like throughout the UK that kind of can have that kind of following to do that. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. That would definitely be a dream. When people who don't even necessarily know you just sing back your own lyrics, and they enjoy what you wrote in your bedroom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be fantastic. And such a blessing for people to enjoy and connect with with what you do.
Yeah. We're all thinking about Bohemian Rhapsody right now. Just how Freddie Mercury doesn't have to sing a word.
Right. Yeah.
The whole even like Brian May's lead parts, like those are even something like I saw actually Queen playing with I guess it's Lambert is the singer with him right now. And
Adam Lambert.
Yeah, Adam Lambert. I remember just being there and like people saying everything for every part of Bohemian Rhapsody was sung by the crowd.
Right. Yeah. That's intense.
Yeah.
That's definitely intense. I don't know if we would ever reach that level, but that's what dreams are made of, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So any other final thoughts guys kind of want to get out there about kind of what your band is about, what you're up to now, or kind of the future things that you guys have planned?
Yeah, I guess you mentioned the Instagram as well. At the Shining Hours is the Instagram page. With we'll have the updates, the August, September shows. The 9th at Our Wicked Lady. I've never been there, so I'm pretty excited to do the rooftop at that
cool
one.
Spot.
Yeah, and then the vinyl sessions and trying to get the writing, recording rolling into next year for the singles. Anything else, Joe?
We just you can follow us on all social media platforms pretty much. Like you said, Instagram at The Shining Hours. We have a website as well, www.theshininghours.com. And just follow us and check out our music. You can find our music on all streaming platforms. Again, we're playing August 9th at Our Wicked Lady in Brooklyn. and August 21st at Rockwood Music Hall, August 21st. And yeah,
And the EP is Wasted Time, correct?
That's
correct.
right.
Yeah, Wasted
Okay.
Time. Yeah.
And then vinyl release in December 10th.
December 10th. Yep.
Correct. Yeah.
So yeah, be sure to check them out. Go see some of their shows, listen to their music, go get a vinyl. I mean, that's the fucking coolest. That's probably one of my milestones is to get on vinyl. I've looked into it before, but I haven't like been confident enough with material I put out there to be like, I'm gonna put this permanently somewhere. So that's a milestone for me.
Hardware.
Yeah. And to go off on a milestone, we would love to play bigger venues as well. You know, just before we did this interview, like we just got an email from Mercury Lounge.
Oh, nice.
So hopefully we book that, you know, depending on a date, but hopefully we get to play there. And that would be our biggest show to date, opening for somebody. So we'll see what happens with that.
There you go, making those dreams come true. You know, you're gonna get there, man. You're gonna have someday. I'm gonna be in the audience singing every word, every guitar lick of one of your songs. You know, just keep at it.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything else before we play out the show?
I think that's pretty much it. You know, just check us out if you like that whole dream rock, indie, shoegaze, whatever you want to classify us as. You know, just, you know, if you like good songs, good songwriting, we try our hardest and we put out the Wasted Time EP that we are very proud of. So just check us out.
So I'm going to play Not Far Away as our outro today from the Wasted Time EP from The Shining Hours. And I just want to personally say there's like one or two guitar licks in there. I think it kind of transitions the songs that I really liked. And I was listening to it on I have a motorcycle. I was riding home. Normally don't listen to music, but because I was talking to you guys, I listened to your full EP like at least once, one more time before talking to you all. And there was a couple things in Not Far Away that like just definitely stood out to me. So I hope everyone enjoys it. And this has been The Shining Hours. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, David, for being on Tonal Distancing. Have a good one.
Yeah,
Thank you so
for
much.
having us.
Not far away.